This
Adding?
conference will now be recorded.
No, I was asking about the pipelines thing. What did we do yesterday? Hosted or self-hosted? In interviews, they are going to ask you what is the difference between hosted and self-hosted. So tell me how you are going to explain. Hmm? No, the first question is no. For the first question itself is understand the question. What is the what is self-hosted agent and what is hosted agent? Will give the VM. Why? Why they give the VM? To run the pipelines or agent jobs? Like if your pipeline, if Microsoft gives a VM to execute the pipeline jobs, then it's a hosted agent. And if you keep your own VM to execute those pipeline jobs, then it is a self-hosted agent. Okay. Which one will be faster? Why? Understood the question, right? Why it is fast? Yes. Provisioning time is not needed. To create a VM, it is not required, right? Already the VM is available. It will just take some 2 seconds to just allocate the VM for you in the pool. That's it. And which one is more secure? Self-hosted. Why? So self-hosted is more secure because you're not sending the packages anywhere. You are not running the pipelines in any hosted. So you're just keeping all the things within your network itself. In that case, self-hosted is very secure. Okay. And okay, let me show you the documentation. What are the main differences between hosted and self-hosted? Hosted and self-hosted agents. Differences. So there will be n number. Just to try to at least remember few things. At least 4 or 5 is fine. Yeah, see this. When it comes to self-hosted agent, and you can run incremental builds, and a Microsoft hosted agent can take no longer to start your build, while it take often just a few seconds for your self-hosted to just start the job. So these are some of the differences, at least 4 or 5. Even if you just go through some of the other articles, there you will get this. I have explained 4 steps like time, security wise, and provisioning time wise. The next build, whenever if you run the same build on the same machine, due to this cache memory, it will take you very fast. All these things we have discussed. Okay. Now let's see one more thing. So we are able to run our pipelines on hosted agents and self-hosted agents, and that is fine. We have the package ready. So whatever the CI pipeline that I want to do, I created the CI pipeline, and from the CI pipeline, I have achieved the package. What does the CI contains? It contains from where I need to take the code, how I need to build, like what are the steps that is required, and what is the output that I need to get. Once I build it, I'll get the output, right? That is what I'm calling it as a package. Let's consider it as a package. This package needs to be deployed on top of a server, right? Then only everybody in the world will be able to access it. So first we need a server. Whenever I say server, don't consider it as a VM. So other than VM, we have one more service which is very easy to understand. Okay. So if you have any kind of application that you want to host it, we can make use of a service called app service. App service. Basically, why do we use app service? To host your web applications, we use app services. To host your web applications. Okay. So since like you guys have already created the portal account, invited the other users, okay, you can invite after this class. See, you don't have to take all the names. Just create user one, user two, user three, something like this. You can create the emails and just give the temporary password for them. So they will take whatever the user ID they want to take, they will confirm it and they will take it. Okay. You don't have to take all the names because it takes a lot of time. So just give user one, user two, user three like this. They will take whatever they want. Okay. And once you are inside this, I was saying my package is ready in the CI pipeline. I want to deploy this package on top of a app service. Basically, why do we use app service? To host your applications. What kind of applications? Web applications. Okay. So to host my web applications, I need a service. That service is called app service. So these are the app services. I'm going to create a new app service. So go to the search bar and search for app service and you will be able to see app services. So just create an app service. I want to use free trial and then under which resource group. Directly if I want to create the resource group here itself, I can create it. So I'm going to make it as rg-app, something like this, app services. In real time, are you going to like write like this? No, they will follow some naming convention. That naming convention you need to follow. So just created the resource group. And what is the name of your web app? So let's take an example. Let's take zomato.com. www.zomato.com. Is it development URL, production URL? What do you consider? Production. How you are saying it is a production? Everybody in the outside world is going to use this URL and relate. That is what we call it as production or live URL. For since they have their application in the production, they will be also having dev, QA, UAT, right? So what will be the URLs for them? So Zomato is their application. They used to have development environment, QA environment, UAT environment, right? So for the development, they will be having dev.zomato.com. For QA, it will be QA.QA-zomato.com. For UAT, UAT-zomato.com. But when it comes to production, they are not going to give prod-zomato.com. They simply give whatever they want to use. So this is what they want in the original real time, right? So that's why they used to keep only zomato.com. For example, I have redbus.com. This is the production URL. For that development URL will be dev-redbus.com. It completely depends upon how they buy the domain. Forget about it. As of now, you understood, right? If they want to access the application, they are going to browse it like this. Okay. Now, I want to create an application. That application name is called IRCTC. First, I'm going to create the dev environment, right? I'm going to keep it as dev IRCTC. See, dev IRCTC dot Azure website dot net. This is by default it generated. What do you want to publish? Do you want to publish the code, Docker container, or static web app? Just keep it as code. What is the runtime stack? Is it a .NET application, Java application, PHP application? As of now, I'm just going with the .NET application. You can choose either .NET 4.8 or 3.5. Let me just take the latest one, 4.8. And see the operating system. By default, if it is a .NET applications, it will take Windows. If it is a Java application, you can choose any of these two. So if it is a .NET, by default it will take Windows only. See, you won't be able to select Linux, whatever the version you take. Okay. And what is the where do you want to create this? I want to create this under West Rivers 3, and just fill only the basic tab, and we have other tabs also. In that, as of now, just try to use only the basic tab and just fill only this region. And after that, we have one more service that is called app service plan that we will discuss later. As of now, just done with the changes, review and create it. it is going to validate the steps. Whatever the information that we have provided is going to be correct or not. It is just going to validate it. And once after that, we can create the resource. Whether app service is a resource or resource group. Resource. Yeah. So I am just creating an app service. Okay. So once this is created, we need to browse it. How we are going to browse it? See, app service is a platform. It's a hosting platform where you can host your web applications. Did I did I made any deployments to this? Did I publish my code anywhere? No. It's a free one. Like it doesn't has anything on top of it. I want to know whether it is working or not. I want to know whether it is working or not. So that's why what I'm going to do is just I'm going to browse the app service. So once this is done, we'll go to that resource group and see. It won't take much time. Usually it will create within 1 or 2 minutes. It will take just 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, this is done. Now what I'm going to do is just go to the resource. Under this resource group, I have see what happens. This is application inside. Did I create this? No. I don't want this. Just refresh it. See, once it is deployed directly, it is not going to show you directly itself. Like immediately, it is not going to show. It might take some buffer time, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or 1 minute. So just try to refresh it and see. Now I am able to see my app service, right? And also just refresh. You are going to see. Try again in this view. Yeah, fine. I am discussing only about the app service. Forget about why it is created, this application inside, what is the use of it. Forget about it as of now. Just only the app service. Concentrate on it. So just click on the app service. This is dev IRCTC, and we have the overview. In this overview, see this. The status it is showing it as running. And if you want to browse this app service, you need to browse with this URL. Okay, browse it. See, this is the default page, and it shows that your web app is running and waiting for your content. So that means it is running, and if you want to make deployments, deploy it. Okay, I have a doubt. You are able to see this page, right? So somewhere in the background there is a code, right? Otherwise, it will not be visible here. So let's find out where the code is. So this is the app service, right? Within the app service, look for Kudu, Kudu, and it is going to show you the advanced tools. What I'm just trying to do is just to open the app service and see where the file is there. Just go and see it is going to open in a new tab, and this is the account that I have signed up, and just see for it. Understood the point, right? We are able to see this page. That means somewhere in the background there is some code. That's why it is able to show this page. So we are trying to find out where the code is available. So within the app service, I went into the advanced tools called Kudu, and once I clicked on Go, I went here. Here, I need to go to debug console, command line or PowerShell. Anything you can take. Anything you can take. One is in the below you can write the command. If you want to select from the user interface, you can do it from here. So just go to site. Inside the site we have root. Inside the right we have hosting start.html page. Just edit this. Okay. Now your web app is running and waiting for your content, right? This is we have somewhere in the application, somewhere in the loading page we have this. So I am going to search for this keyword. So this is the complete keyword that I am going to search it in this page. Where it is. See? So in the HTML page, they have mentioned this. That's why I'm able to see that. Now what I'm going to do is I want to prove it whether this is the same file or not that I'm able to see in that page. I'm just going to make it as hello world and just save this. Saved, right? Now just go back to the page and browse again. So I can confirm that that is the HTML page that is sitting in the location called site www root, and inside that I have a hosting star.html file. That HTML file is showing here. So this is fine. Now, if I want to deploy my application on top of this app service, so where it should be? So it should be under the location called site. Inside the site, you need to deploy it under root folder. Then only your application will be available to browse it. So site is there. Inside the site, we go to the root. There you need to have your original code files, like whatever the code file that you have built, right? That output you need to keep it here. Then only it will be available to browse it. Understood this point, right? Now, before doing it through the automated process, what we do is we will just try to do the things with manual. Do I know HTML code how to write it? As of now, we do not know. Then how we can make use of HTML code? So we have a website called W3 Schools, and just search for HTML. This is a good website. I think this is available from the last 10 years, I think so. Everybody is using this because they will give you the basics very strong. So I want to write some HTML page. As of now, I don't know how to write all of this. So what I'm going to do is easy learning with HTML, write for yourself. See this. This is some example they are giving. If you want to try it by here itself, you can try it and see this. This is the syntax of the HTML page. This is the syntax. What is this? They want to write some HTML code, right? How they have written is, I'll show you. They have started with this HTML, and it should be ending with slash HTML. Inside this, they are going to write something like this. They are going to keep on writing. So first they won't write this, and in the final they won't close like this. First itself they will keep the starting and ending. Inside that, whatever they want to write, they will write it. And see that inside that they are trying to write some header, and also they open like this and keep it like this. And inside this, whatever I want to write, I will write. See, head, and for that head there will be a closing, right? This is the closing. For HTML there is a closing, right? This one. For body they opened, right? Here body is the closing. And this is H, right? H stands for header or heading, we can call it as. We can call it as, let's say, heading. And P stands for paragraph. So this is the simple HTML files that they are writing. And if you want to run it, you can run it. This is the output. And if you want to get the paragraph as like this is paragraph, it is showing, right? I'm just going to remove like this, change it to something called welcome at 123. Just run this. So this is how my page looks like. Okay, this coding is fine, right, to test it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all this thing. I want to save it as a HTML file. Now tell me how I can save it as a HTML file. Click on right click, new. Which one? Let's take a text document. Open the text document. I pasted it. Now I want to save as. Save as which file? Like what is the format that you are looking for? Dot html. HTML stands for hypertext markup language. If you want to have your web application HTML pages only, you are going to see Flipkart, Google, anything is HTML page. Okay, now I want to save this as some test. Okay, test I already have. Demo I already have. Welcome, I'm just going to keep it as welcome. If you save it as a text document, it is not going to be useful. Then how you are going to save it? I want to save it as a HTML file. Does anyone know how to make this as a HTML file? Yeah, we need to use .html, but how? Let me just show you this. Here I kept welcome. This is the file name, but save type I do not have any of this. If I keep all files, what happens? If you go back to here, welcome is the file, right? Is it a HTML file? No, still it is a text document. Then how you can make it as a HTML file? Some people comes and says that just refresh it, welcome, keep it as .html. It is not going to work. It is still a text document. Then how we can make it as a HTML document? I'm just waiting for other answers. How can we make it as a HTML page? So let's consider I am opening this, and inside this again I'm showing you this page, save type as. Here you cannot mention .html because it is not going to allow me. Then what? Hmm? What? Let's keep it as welcome 2 or welcome 1. Oh, you mean to say that in the file name itself .html? Okay, let's see. Still, it is a text document only. Will you guys try for it? How to save it as a HTML? This is very easy. I just want you guys to do it. I already have some things. So this is a test 2, right? Just open with and see it in the notepad. What is the code that is available in this? So this is the original code that is available in test 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this and keep it as welcome and save it. I just saved test 2, right? Just try to browse it. This is the original page that I am going to get it. Okay. I have the HTML file ready in my local system. I want this file, HTML file, to be available for everybody. So I need to host this application, host this HTML page on top of app service. Now, how we can do this? So this is the app service. This is the Kudu. Kudu stands for Advanced Tools. Here, I am going to click on plus symbol. You want to create a file or folder? File. I am going to make it as test.html. Simply, okay, I created it, and then I want to keep the code, right? This is the code. Save it. I have the test.html file available in my Kudu right now. Now tell me, if I browse this URL, I'm going to get the default page or the test page. Understood the point, right? I have to, earlier it is only one file. Earlier it is only one file. And now I uploaded one more file. Now there are two files. If I browse this URL, how many files, like what will be the output? So it has taken the default one, right? So that means hosting.html it has taken. So somewhere in the background, they have mentioned the default page to load is hosting.html. Understood? Somewhere in the background, they mentioned it. Now I want to change it. So where can you change it? So go to this app service, and if you go to the configuration part for the app service configuration, and here you will be having an option called the default document that you need to change. Why it is getting very slow? I'm not sure. Yeah, you can do any of this in Notepad plus plus Sublime or Notepad. By using any of these, you can do it. But I want you guys to do it. Save it as a .html page. So once you save it as a .html page, you will be able to see the page like this. Okay. Okay. So let me see whether that is loaded. It is still loading. Sometimes this might be a network glitch. You just need to go and refresh it again. Why it is still loading? Usually this will never take this much time. Okay. So any kind of configuration related to this app service will be under here. Now see, application settings you want to make general settings or default documents. Go to default documents and see the documents here. They have provided some 7 or 8 documents. If you find if you find any of this name in the app service, just load it. Understood? So we have the hosting start.html, right? That's why it is directly loading that. I will remove this and keep it as I'm going to just remove this and keep it as I'm just entering it. Meanwhile, I'll do like this. I deleted it and I'm going to add a new document. That document name is test dot. Why it is taking so much? It is very slow. Test dot html. Test dot html. Save this. Continue. Now I saved it, right? Earlier, by default, hosting start page was there. Out of all these documents, in the app service, we have hosting start.html. So it looked for all these documents and hosting start.html is there. That's why it directly loaded that. Now I removed that and I kept my test.html file. Now go back to this is the URL, right? Enter it. Go back to your app service and enter it. Now I am able to get this, right? You understood what is the default documents. Whenever you browse the app service, if you want to get the default document, like whatever the html file that you want to get, then you need to mention it under default document. Okay, now I am able to get this. Whatever I have shown you till this process was, I directly went into the code, I directly uploaded my file there, and I am able to browse it. Is this manual or automatic? It's a complete manual thing. I want this to be automated. So how can you do it first? This is the point. Let's go from the DevOps point of view. So I have this Azure Devops. Let me create a new project for you and try to explain it from the scratch. So go to repos. So first we need to save that code in the repo only, right? Then only we can build that code. So I am going to create a new repository. The new repository name I am going to give it is app service file. This is the repository name and just create it. I just created the repository. Inside the master branch, I want to upload a file. I already have the file right in my local system. I am going to upload that. So where is the test? Hmm? Is it test or test 2? Or else I'll do one thing. I understood the point. Try to create a file and name it as test.html. That's it. And paste the code here. This is the code, right? Commit it. Commit to the master branch. Now I have my original HTML code in the repository. Now I need to create a pipeline, right? Since it is a HTML file, do we need to build it? Not required. We do not need to we do not require any kind of building. It is a simple HTML page. So new pipeline. I'm going to make it as like it is asking me where is your code. Use the classic editor. It is an Azure repos git and it needs to take the repository of app service file and master branch it needs to take. I'm just going to take the empty job. The two, what are the two tasks that I need to use? Since I do not want to have any build thing, copy files to copy the files from the master branch and keep it in build.artifact staging directory, and after that publish it. That's it. So I am just going to utilize copy files, and the second task was publish build artifact. Why are you publishing it? Because you want to get that output. Publish build artifacts. So in the copy files, I'm going to copy it from the this one. Even if you don't want to use the variable directly, you can select on the three dots and you can select the file. But if it is valid only for a single file, but I don't want to do it like this. In real time, we are going to use like this only. And the target folder should be staging directory. Copy it, and then whatever we have in the artifact staging directory, publish it as a drop folder. Now I'm going to give this name as app service file hyphen ci. Save this and run this. Now that we are able to create the pipeline, and if you enable the continuous integration, whenever there is a change, immediately the new file will be available. Okay. Once this is done, let's go ahead with the release pipeline. As of now, what we have discussed is we have discussed only the CI part. CI is all about taking the code, building it and testing it, and finally making it as a package. Now let's go to the CD. CD stands for continuous deployment or continuous delivery. Delivery means nothing. Continuous deployment means take whatever you get from the CI and put it on top of the server. So you are just making deployments. CD is continuous deployment. And now verified, one published artifact is there, and inside the drop folder I have this S folder, and inside that I have whatever the file I want. I received it. CI part completed. I'm okay with the CI part. Now I want to create the release pipeline. Pipelines are two types: CI pipeline, CD pipeline. You know why we use CI pipeline. సిఐలోనే మీరు మొత్తం బిల్డ్ చేసి అన్ని రెడీ చేసి పెడతారు. సిడీలో ఏం చేస్తారు? తీసుకెళ్ళి డిప్లాయ్ చేస్తారు. That's it. I'm going to create a release pipeline. So create a new pipeline, and now it is asking me select a template. That means where do you want to make this deployment? Azure App Service deployment, deploy Java app to Azure App Service, deploy PHP to Azure App Service. Which one you want me to use? Deploy Azure App Service deployment. Deploy your applications to Azure App Service. Choose from the web app, Windows, Linux, containers, function apps, or web jobs. So this is the step that is required, right? Okay, click on this. What is the stage? Stages are nothing but your environments. I'm just going to make this as dev environment. Just cancel this. So I have a dev. In that I have one job and one task included in it. So just click on this. It is asking me what is the subscription. Do we have any subscription here? Now just try to think. Your package is in Azure DevOps. Your app service is in Azure. Is there any connection between these two? No connection. So now we need to establish a connection between these two. Understood the point? Your package is at Azure DevOps and your app service is at Azure. Now we want to we are trying to make the deployments from your Azure DevOps to Azure app service. So it is asking me all the details. What is the subscription name and everything? I do not have any of this information. So first we need to create the service connection between these two. How we are going to create it? So let's go to the Azure DevOps organization settings. No, let's go to the project settings. This is the project where I have my repository, right? Yeah. Go to project settings, and here you can see service connection under pipelines, because from the pipelines only you want to deploy it. So from there I'm able to see the service connection. Create your first service connection. For example, if I am trying to make a deploy, like we are 5 people, if I am trying to make a deployment, is it going to ask me my username and password? Yes. If it is asking, I will give my username and password. Next time you are trying to deploy it, it is going to ask you for the username and password. You are going to give your username and password. Like this, whoever is going to make deployment, it is, if it is going to ask you for username and password, is it automated? No. At that time, what you guys will think is, let's do something, save the username and password somewhere else and use those. If you save the username and password somewhere else, is it a security wise good one? No, right? So that's why what I'm going to do is, I will create a connection. Whatever you want to make deployment, through this connection only we will make. It should not ask any of username, my username or your username. We will create a connection, and whatever we want to deploy, through this connection only it needs to deploy to the Azure. Okay. So that's why we are going to create a service connection first. And see the, what is the connection name? Classic, this one, or like Azure Service Bus, Resource Manager, Azure Repos, or TFS. Azure Classic is a very old one. Nobody is using Classic right now. Everybody is using Azure Resource Manager. Azure Resource Manager stands for ARM, Azure Resource Manager. Everybody is using Azure Resource Manager. Just so once after selecting, just click on next. How do you want to authenticate? See, I am saying that each and every time you try to make a deployment, go with this. But it needs to authenticate, right? Who is what is the user ID? Like, not the user ID, based on what I need to authenticate. See, service principal automatic, service principal manual. Let's discuss about these two. If I take service principal automatic, this account was with Hemant Reddy. The Azure portal account was somewhere with Syed. Both are same. So if you take automatic, if the username will be the same, then automatically it will select. Now it is, the username is different from Azure DevOps and the user is different from Azure portal. So that's why I want to configure it manually. So service principal manual. Click on next. Which environment you want to use? Azure Cloud, Azure China Cloud, US Government, German Cloud, or Azure Stack? Simple Azure Cloud. Scope level. So yesterday I have explained you, if anyone wants to create any resource, so first I have given him access to the subscription level. So on a subscription level, he can do anything. So that, like the same way, I want to give this authentication method on a subscription based level. Okay. What is the subscription ID? It is asking me what is the Azure subscription ID. Where can I get this? In portal. Okay. So let's go to the portal. How do I get the subscription ID? Just look for subscription. Under subscriptions, you will be able to see your subscription ID and the subscription name, right? This is my subscription ID. Just copy the subscription ID. Yeah. What is the subscription name? I'm going to keep it as free trial. And it is asking me about service principal ID. I don't know. Service principal key. I don't know. Tenant ID. Don't know. Then where we can do this? See, each and every time when you are trying to make a deployments to the Azure, I said that it should not ask the username and password. So that's why what I'm trying to do is, I will create a principle. Based on the principle, try to authenticate to the Azure and make the deployment. In the service connection, based on the service principle, try to authenticate to the Azure and make the deployment. So what is the authentication method that I'm using? Service principle. Okay. See this. Where is the service principal ID and what? Like we need to have a first service principal ID, and then we need to have the key for that. So each and every time it is going to take the service ID, and based on the key, it will authenticate to the Azure and it will make the deployment. Okay. So first we need to create a service principal. How to create a service principal? Go back to the Azure. I was mentioning that no user should enter username and password, right? So basically, where do you have the user IDs and password? Active Directory. So let's go to Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. In this Azure Active Directory, go for app registration. I want to register an application. So due to the only when you are trying to make the deployments, go through this. Go through only the app register that whatever the app that I have registered. Go to app registrations. I want to register a new application. You can keep anything. My Azure account. You can keep any name. And who wants to use this app registration? Accounts in this organization directly only. Accounts in any organization directory. That means you can connect the other AD and you can make use of it. But as of now, I'm just going with the default. Redirect URI, optional, right? Just leave it. Create the application. Now the application like app registration is done. And now see this. We have the application ID, directory ID, all this. Application ID or client ID, both are common. Directory ID, tenant IDs, both are common. Now see this. If you copy this application ID or client ID, go back to the DevOps part. It is asking me service principal ID. So let's see, client ID for connecting to the endpoint. Now we have the client ID, right? Copy this. It is asking me for service principal key. Keys as of now not there. Tenant ID. We already have the tenant ID, right? Go back to the portal and copy the tenant ID. Paste it. And see, service principal key it is asking. Now what you need to do is this will be looking big for you, but it is a default process that you need to follow. Once you create it multiple times and after that you will be understanding it very easily. You need to practice this. That's it. Okay, I have registered my application. So through this application only, I want you to authenticate and deploy, right? How it is going to authenticate? Based on a password or keys. Password I am not going to give. I am just going to give keys. So that's why I am going to make it as certificates or key secrets. Based on this secret, I want to authenticate. See what is the description. I am just going to keep it as key one and it is valid for next 3 months. It is same like the PAT token. How you are authenticating from Azure DevOps to the virtual machines? PAT token, right? So through the PAT token, you are authenticating. Like the same way, I am going to authenticate to Azure by using this app registration, by using this secret and see the key value. This is the value. Why we get ID is a different point. For example, as of now, I am just using directly copying the value. There is a requirement where you should not use the value directly. Then how I can use it? By using this ID, I can call this value. Understood? Copy. See, I can call a person either with their roll number or name, right? Like the same way, I can use this key secret by using the ID also. So I am just copying the value. So this is the key. Understood what I have done? Each and every time I want to authenticate. So that's why what I have done was I created an app registration. Once I created the app registration, I got the client ID, tenant ID. I filled it. And after that, it is asking me for the key. So I went into the secrets and I created a secret. Based on the secret, it will authenticate. Okay. Till this point, whatever we want to fill, we filled it. And now just try to verify it. It will fail. Why? I will tell you. Did I give full access to the tab registration? No. I am saying that based on this, you authenticate. That's it. I haven't provided you any role. Yesterday, what we have done, we created the users. If you do not give any roles to them, they won't be able to do anything, right? Like the same way, I created the app registration, but I haven't provided any role to it. So that's why I'm going to provide a role to it. What is the app registration? This is the app registration name, right? Go to your subscription. And if I want to give any permissions on the subscription level, first go to the subscription and then go to IAM. So once if you go to the IAM, In the left side you can search for any user service principal or group, right? Now I am searching for my service principal only. See, open this. Do you have any role assignments here? As of now you will not be having any role assignments, so that's why it is failing there. Now what I will do is I will add a role assignment. I'm going to make this as a contributor. So each and every time use this contributor access for this app registration and make the deployment. So search with this one and verify it. Review and assign. So I'll just explain in the layman terms. I want to make a deployment from DevOps to Azure. How I can make the deployment? First, it needs to authenticate, right? So for the authentication purpose, I created a service principal. That service principal is nothing but your app registration. I registered an application in Active Directory, and whenever I want to make a deployments to the Azure, use this app registration and deploy it. So for this app registration, I need to provide a role. That role I provided right now, and you can verify that role here. So it will be a contributor. Now go back to the Azure DevOps and now verify. See, it succeeded because now it is able to make the deployment on the Azure portal using contributor role. Now you want to give one name. I am going to make it as ADO. ADO stands for Azure DevOps to Azure portal. This is some random name I'm just giving to it. Do you want to grant this access permissions to all the pipelines? Yes. Just verify and save it. Now that I have created a service connection and I assigned a role to that, now it can make the deployment. Now go back to the portal and verify it. You have your app service in which resource group? RG-app services. Okay, let me just show you RG-app services. Under this app services, I have my app service. Okay, till this point it is fine. Let's go back to the Azure DevOps. Now go to this pipeline. This is what we are earlier creating, right? I just need to refresh this page. So that's why I'm just going to refresh the page because we made a lot of changes, right? So to make those changes effect, we just need to refresh the page. Create release. That release gone because we haven't even saved it. I'm just going to select the same things again, make the stage as have, and this is the one job on one task. And here it is asking me on the subscription. This is the one that I created right now, right? Once if you are able to see that, then automatically it is going to show you the app service name here itself. Which one? Dev IRCTC, right? If the subscription is not valid, then in the drop down it is not going to show anything. So by looking into that, you can clearly understand. If you are not getting the drop down, that means you have made some mistake. Okay, and see this. This is the subscription, and this is my app service name. And let's go to deploy to Azure App Service and see this. In this, just go below. This is the subscription app service type is this. This is my app service. Fine. What is the package or the folder that needs to be deployed? And see this. What do you understand by this? It is looking for which format of file? So it is looking for .zip. Okay, let me just save this and run this. We will get an error. Try to find out what is the error. I'm just create. Okay, I made it very fast. Okay, next time I will make it very slow. And see this, no problem if you have changed. Okay, let me just cancel it. I'll just try to rerun this again. It cancelled. So if you go to release, this is my release, right? So click on this. You know till this point, right? One job, one task is done. And after that, see this. You need to add the artifact. Basically, from where you will get the artifact? From the CI pipeline, right? So click on the artifact. From which build pipeline you are going to get it? App service file CI, right? Just add that and click on add. So whatever the output that you get from this pipeline, take this and deploy it on top of this. Understood? Whatever the output that you get from this pipeline, take it and execute this step. In this step, what we have mentioned, the app service, right? Okay. Now just save this and create the release. See what happens. It is going to be an error, and I want you to tell why that is error, why we got that error. So whatever the output that is received in this pipeline, it will get that output, and it is going to perform on top of these steps. See, it is in progress. See, first it has downloaded the artifact from the CA pipeline, and see what happened. By looking into this error, tell me what was the exact issue. So let me just make it a big for you. Okay, how to make it big? Control plus, right? Yeah. No package found with the specified pattern .zip. Check if the package mentioned is task is published as artifact in the build or the previous stage and downloaded in the current job. What do you mean by this? Clearly, it is looking for a .zip package. But from the CI pipeline, did we make it as a zip package? No. We are trying to deploy it as a zip package. So that's why it is failing. See, I will explain you very clearly. So if you go to task and create the edit the release pipeline, in this particular step, let me just make it as a minimum for you. This is the step, right? In this step, this is the only step that failed. If you go down, see, here you are always looking for a .zip package. But in the publish artifact, do we have the .zip? No. So do not look for .zip. Cancel all this. Star.zip I cancel. So system.default working directory means whatever the output that we get from the publish artifact, that is called as system.default working directory. In that, whatever the folder may be, and inside that folder, whatever you have, take everything. I don't have to mention star. If I simply keep like this, it will take that root directory and then it is going to apply it. See, for example, let me just copy it and paste it in the notepad and let me explain. So this is the thing that we have mentioned there, right? In the C drive, we have movies folder. In the movies folder, we have Telugu. Inside that, we might be having 50 files, 50 movies. So what I am doing is consider this all these thing as till movies, and consider this star star. That means any directory name. Consider it as Telugu, and whatever we have after this is like 50 files. So whatever we have till this point, just copy all those files and paste it on top of the app service. So take this all the package and deploy it on top of the app service. Understood the point, right? So like this I have kept it, and then just save this. And once after saving, we need to release it. So let me just go to the release again, and I'm just trying to show you from the scratch. So click on this deploy Azure App Service and remove this, save it, and then create the release. Now see what happens. Now we have not mentioned any zip package. It needs to take whatever that is available in that folder, keep everything in the app service. So once this gets completed, we need to verify it whether it is whether it deployed or not. So how you can confirm that whether it is deployed or not? So in this step, we will confirm that. the task is success. How can you confirm that whether the task is success?
You get output URL.
You are saying me to browse the output URL. That is fine. But I want to know whether the files are deployed on top of the app service or not. If the files are deployed on top of the app service, that means my task is completed. So where do you want to verify that?
App service.
In app service where? Kudu. By going to the Kudu site root, there you are going to verify it. So let's see. Once this gets completed, we will see. And it shows that it is succeeded right now. I want to confirm, right, whether the deployment is done properly on top of the app service or not. So I'm going into this and going into the Kudu, just refresh the page. So where I need to confirm? Site, root, and see, this is my app service CA pipeline, right? And I have the drop folder, and I have the S folder, and I'm able to see all my files, right?
Yes.
Understood. Whether the deployment is completed or not. Yes, and you can also see the time frame latest. Okay. Now I want to browse this. So how can you browse it? Simple. Now you will be getting one error. Ignore that error. See, you do not have permissions to view this directory or page. This is a different error. As of now, you can confirm, right? The deployment happened on top of the app service. Till this point, any doubt? Why we are getting this issue is a different point. But we are able to see that output here, right? So even if you can open this file and you can see welcome at 123. Okay. Till this point, any doubt? So what we have done was we created an app service and we are able to browse the app service and see the hosting star.html file as a default. Where did we get this file? Inside the Kudu, we went into site root folder. Okay. Now we have created some sample test page, test.html page. We uploaded it into the repo, and from there we created the CI pipeline. We made it as a package, and we deployed it on top of an app service. We completed CI/CD or not? As of now, still running the pipeline is a manual thing. We will try to complete that through automation. If you want to complete that through automation, then you need to enable first continuous integration so that whenever there is a code change, immediately my pipeline will run. After running the pipeline, the latest output will be there in the publish artifact. But how does the release happen? The release also should happen the latest, right? Like it also needs to do the latest thing deployed. So that also we can enable continuous deployment trigger. So whenever this CI pipeline runs, automatically run the CD pipeline also. That way we will get the latest output. So this we will see in the practical tomorrow. So I want you guys to practice till this point. So in real time, they are going to ask you, where can I see the files that is deployed on top of the app service? How to see that? You need to go to Kudu, site, root. Okay. So till this point, any doubts, guys?